the little bitty ones. Phase 2 progresses as normal. We dodge the scythes, they hurt quite a lot. And then on top of that, of course, we'll have to have the rings. Shiro, do you mind stepping out for this one? You and Wolf are next on the order.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. So with the rings, most of the time, it's not going to be an issue. We just, separate, stack, whatever's needed. However, people with the soul bombs and the soul blights will occasionally get the rings as well, so they will need to be escorted. It's going to be difficult to assign someone to do that because they may have a ring themselves, and I don't want double damage going out there. So it's something that's going to end up, I'm not exactly sure the best way to handle that, because calling it out on the fly will be messy, but is also the safest option. So let's say Reddy gets the Soul Blight and he has a ring, and I'm available, then I can go with Reddy out to purple to drop his debuff. It will always be a ranged, or preferably even a healer, that can go out to escort them. Because you have to have at least one other person with you for those rings. The tank one is taken care of because the tank can just go with them. But that's going to be difficult and something we'll have to play by ear on what works best for us. Just keep that in mind. Don't dash off and with the bombs quickly. And the rest I will go over once we get further in and get to phase 3. Not worried about food right now. Does anyone have any questions over the first half?
Were flags put down?
Nope.
Thank you, Kay.
Cauldrons down. Waffle.
What's up?
Let's have you and I be the escorts for both red and purple if needed.
Okay.
And if
yeah,
either-
because at most only one of us can have the bomb, so yeah, that works.
Yeah. And if either one of us get it, then Reddy, you'll be my backup going to red. Rhea, you'll be Waffle's backup going to purple.
In case people aren't aware, the soul bomb can only go in healers.
Alright. I currently don't have one, Prod, no. Shouldn't be needed, though. DBM will call it out, too.
We left on pull for this, right?
Yes.
No.
Why would
I'd like
we not?
I'd like to see with the HP nerf, is something I've been talking to other guilds who have killed this, is they recommend to try and push it to see where our DPS is without lust. That way we can save it for the final phase. I've got one Turonian. Or no, I don't. Never mind. So we're not using Bloodlust off the start, and if we're too far off, then yeah, we'll just use it, and that's part of the strat. On tanks.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Just to gaze, get ready to move. Where Scruff is now, that's perfect for the square. Dodge. Hug the line. New debuffs.
Have the boss one.
Yep, that's going to be a wipe. And tanks are down.
At least we can release quickly.
Yep.
Plus being able to deal with the Agrimorph's knockbacks.
Man, my damage is gonna be off on this fight, so like, survive. Oh wait, that.
On tanks.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Gaze. Cone income. Dodge. Don't dodge too far, guys. Ring stack.
You can't step a single foot in Death Fog once it's down on this mode, by the way.
I died to the orb being on me. It's 2 million damage, but it's affected by versatility, so.
Is this hitbox smaller than normal or is it larger?
I can't tell you.
The only reason I'm asking is because one of the rings, I know a couple of us got clipped, at least I did, because I was trying to stand in the ring, and it was literally like underneath him. The ring was like encompassing his feet.
What's Tortured Rage? That's that square, right?
No,
No,
he calls it that way.
It's just a AoE thing. It's passive.
Is that you saw what he just did?
Yeah, it says,
Tanks.
I was gonna say it hits for 5 million.
After that first cone of death,
So right there, see how he just cast it when he yelled at him? That's what it does. He yells Torture Rage, and then he charges and slices.
for that first cone of death tanks, if you guys can just point them towards the middle and then delay the movement a little bit. There's a few of us that are getting clipped just by the sheer size of that cleave, trying to move from Death Fog. I think that's the only one where the timing lines up like that, though. It's just that very first one.
Well, the point I was trying to make too is we need to be max melee range, correct?
Correct.
Because that'll alleviate some of the circle of death that we got. Some of us got clipped with that first one, I believe.
It was the boss cleave.
Yeah, the boss cleave is what killed us.
It's like 180
Correct.
degrees, so
Yeah, I was trying to stand in the circle. It's basically what I'm getting at. The circle was too close.
yep, there's a couple things to fine-tune the movement there.
Should we be closer to the edge on this first one because there's no blights or anything?
What do you mean closer to the edge?
Like, so like when we pull the boss, like a lot of videos I'm watching, like he's like standing right here to max attack. So it's like a smaller black circle or a smaller black cone, and then they come over here, and then they kind of go around.
Nope, that part doesn't matter since we're going to push the phase long before we make a complete circle. As long as we have enough space for 2 of the squares to stand off to the side, that's all that really matters.
So you can't cross that shadow line at all once it's down, right?
Correct.
No.
Correct. I just
I
tried
have-
it to get a buff
I have full
and
buff. Why
ate
didn't it
shit.
happen? It does like 7 million something damage it takes, so
Wanna
no,
bomb
you
a
cannot
boss,
stand
bomb
it.
it.
You
Yup.
can use an immunity to do it if you have an immunity. That's what
Not
I'll end up
worth-
doing.
Not worth chasing a thingy though. It should be put. Well, we'll get to that. Let's get some more pulls in. Just need practice.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Force 3, 2,
Gazes. Separate buffs.
I got 3 of those stacks on me. What?
Watch the cone. Dodge.
Am I getting those stacks because the melee guy's touching us?
Which stacks do you have? Rage or Fear?
Rage.
Yes,
I
you're
know
too
it's
close
We
to
can
the
talk about it after the pull.
Soul Blights to the back. Alright, it's gonna be reset.
So if you have rage, you can't go get the debuffs. You can't go
You
get the buffs.
can. People just need to be aware of it.
Yep.
So in a video, you can see the person, I think the Ret Paladin's point of view, and there's a lot of times where they don't go get the buff.
Because there's like
I
4 of
think
us
it's-
standing on it, and then like came back and forth, and hit, I got hit 3 times with it.
Yeah, if there's people there, you can't get it.
Yeah, I think the video specifically that said that
Yeah,
at
can
one
we-
point too.
I mean, can we just talk about where we're going to put the buffs? Because then with Rage, I got C. So, I mean, is there a place that I'm supposed to take that I can then move and other people can go get it?
So, if we want the possibility for all of us to get it, the only place they can go is to the left of the group, like right up against the edge of the Death Fog. Which means we're going to run out of space a little bit more, but I think we can afford that. We're already at 83%, and that was being inefficient with movements. So, what we'll do is have the person with the, like, say you get a Turonian with the square debuff on you, and you need to drop a buff. You'll run right up against the edge of the Death Fog, drop it to the left of the group, and then go back to whatever you were doing. The same debuff, the Mastery one, the Lightning one, will be further back in the same straight line. That way, if you need to go grab your debuff, you wait for the rest of the group first, and then you can go grab it too if you need it.
You said both go to the left in a straight line?
Correct.
Okay.
So, like, let's say that Warlock health pool is going to be the Lightning one. The Haste one would go, like, right up here, right up against the Death Fog. And the group would be somewhere over here.
I mean, most of the groups have just been putting them to the right, and then the rage people just don't get the buffs.
Yeah, I think that might be easier.
Right, if you put it,
That's
if
definitely
you-
the easier way to do it if we want to do it that way. And just let RNG handle it.
And I
We're also
don't
going to
think
get
that
an overlap where no one gets any buffs because it's like, I think it's the third one, unless it's different on Mythic than it is on every other difficulty. The third one, the buffs drop about the same, like they drop right before the death cone happens.
Yep,
So if
that's
it's not
correct.
next to the fog, we're just, like the entire group will drop all of their stacks at that point.
and
Rage or
I
not.
I really think that we should be heroing a pull because it's not like our DPS is so fantastic that we're going to have an under 10-minute fight. Like, I don't know. It's just like,
It's just you lose hero potentially in the last phase is the
No, you-
reason
Yeah,
why some
let's.
guilds.
I still want to see if we at least have that capability. Like, we have no idea what the DPS is going to be like late phase, and
Well,
I'd like to see if we even have the option right now.
It's not a hard enrage that we're worried about, Keck. It's the soft enrage of running out of room.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the hard enrage timer.
Yeah, and it's very early, so this is the time to be testing if we're going to.
Are there weak
So-
auras for this boss that anyone has? I saw some that showed like everyone's supposed to spread and stuff.
That's just telling you whether you have the stack buff or the spread buff. That's what I was asking about beforehand. But
I did not go get some. No, the DBM warnings have been enough so far.
I'm really pretty disappointed that honestly Veruca didn't come prepared with a weak aura for everybody else.
I'm actually working on it as we're pulling, so I need you guys to pull.
Yeah, better late than never, I guess.
All right, let's get some more pulls in. We're gonna go with the easy version, putting debuffs off to the right of the group, and by debuffs I mean the little orb things. So if you get the rage, tough luck. Unfortunately, you're not gonna be able to get it safely. On tanks.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Gazes. Max melee range, everyone. Debuffs off to the right.
That's unfortunate for that buff.
Yep. Tank had it.
Yeah.
That'll happen sometimes. Get ready for fog, dodge. Not too far. Hug it. Max melee range. Soul Flight's back. New gazes soon.
I got-
had to drop that in.
Watch
the
out.
group.
I've got rage out in Africa because there's no good way to get it in here.
Yep. Just play it safe, Scruff.
Just not gonna do damage for.
Yep. Dodge. Rehug.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Get the rage out. There we go.
Yep.
Vortex of that. Fun damage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
got out.
not just melee. Alright, let's go ahead and reset. It's a little better. Still need some practice though.
Jordan, as soon as the cone of death goes out, you want to be backing the boss up.
Yeah, I got cleaved again right after the cone, trying to make sure I didn't get hit by the cone.
4, 3, 2.
I guess that's one where you get 2 fear and 2 rage.
Yes. And the rage can target anybody that's not a tank. The first one, the very, very first one, will always be melee, but after that it can be anybody. So ranged healers, you guys need to be prepared as well.
Yeah, it targeted me immediately after I ran Blight out.
I was running after that orb.
Scruff, I think the safest thing to do, I wasn't going to call it out mid-fight, but is to time running around behind the tanks between the scythe cleaves. That's going to take some speed, but that's the safest route.
Well, my plan was just to run through the boss's legs, provided the tanks were far enough away, and the group should have been far enough away.
The cleave is really ugly from that, just a heads up. I was too close to his hitbox, center hitbox once it got cleaved also. Like, why can't he just bubble and run through the boss? Like, where he's not tagging anybody, I mean.
That's what I was going to try to do.
Yep.
So I have a
But
question.
we had people right on the boss's nuts, so it was never an option.
That rage debuff, it goes out, right? Does it go out an instant tick, or
You have
So it
maybe
is.
a second
Once
and a
the
half.
icon appears, it's pretty much ticking.
Yeah.
okay?
But you have a
Cause
second
like,
and a half or so until the icon appears under your feet.
Because like we're all together, and then those 2 icons appeared, and then they both hit a group of people, you know, boom, boom, and then like 5 people died instantly.
Yeah, I think like I was in the middle of the group, so I'm trying to get out.
Yep.
I ran through a lot.
Well, I'm not bitching. I'm just saying like that's kind of how I saw it, because I was a little bit behind you guys, and that's what it looked like. So I don't know if there's like an indicator or something to where, or
So
we need to
it's-
spread or something.
Yeah,
That's what we were talking about. One of the guilds had one where it just tells everyone to spread.
it's kind of like honestly, it's like the sleep bombs that Melee have had to always deal with on Eminar. Like you have to react instantly, or you're
Yep.
gonna be in the group at the wrong time.
Yep. There is a slight grace period, so we can be stacked and have them immediately move out, but that grace period is like 1 second,
Brittany.
so it really does have to be instant.
I think it would help if we weren't so tightly packed as well.
I can't on my break.
Like a loose spread. Because it's better to hit one person than to hit 15.
Yep.
Well,
As
I
we
mean-
get going, I'll get better at calling that out too, because we can stay stacked inside the rings just to let them have the wiggle room, and then we'll loosely spread in between the debuffs. So once they fade, we can loosely spread a little bit and then adjust and then restack whatever is needed. But we're also still juggling the soul blights, which we're losing a lot of people to as well. Are you ready, Energy? On tanks.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Four,
What's going on today?
This is gonna be an expensive map for the guild.
That's why there's 1,000 gold cap on it.
Yeah,
So was
you
that
get taste first. Suck it.
was that a tank pulling aggro?
Yep.
Yep.
What was that tank's name?
I mean, he's done it multiple times. He just did it earlier than usual there, so my taunt wasn't off cooldown yet.
I was gonna try this new strat. I thought of that.
You know, we do suicide, but you do know that's not until phase 3, right?
I mean, you suicide in phase 2 as well.
Yeah, I guess you do.
Can you just MD on Tech? Maybe.
What?
Been doing it.
Yeah, but taunt doesn't
not
matter.
enough.
Let's just swap.
There's also that option of like you not doing damage. I know it's a weird one.
I mean, the
Sounds
problem
retarded.
comes when he bursts 1.2 million damage, and I can
Yep.
only do 600k sustained because I have to build to tank on this fight. Even though
Yep.
it's for later on in the fight versus now, there's no choice.
I think our best option is probably having Dead's tank instead.
I'm throwing down shitty feasts.
I mean, that's obviously the right answer.
How do you look at spec on the logs?
5,
What?
4, 3,
Incoming.
2, 1. Four, three, two,
Alright, I'm gonna stop. This is not on purpose, by the way.
All right, let's take a poll. Who believes him?
Why you doing your leather boys like that, Cap?
Yeah. You bad because we wear it better?
I mean, you can start with the boss and pull if you want. Like, fine.
There's an idea.
He's still down.
Oh, it was all an elaborate troll to buy time until Veruca could get us a weak aura. Now I see.
This is why Captain's blacklisted.
That's a big packet there.
Damn.
Thank you. Said.
It probably finished by the end of raid.
The top mages are frostbody, if that's it.
No, I know that.
What, you wanna know what's talent?
What talent?
It's in the summary, I believe.
Which one are you wondering about?
That top guy, number 1.
Yeah, got Lonely Winter, Shimmer, Encanters, Splitting Ice, Ring of Frost, Arctic Gale, Thermal Void.
I have Frozen Touch, but
Let's get some more practice in.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Max melee range. You getting into the habit. Debuffs to the right. To the right, Cap.
Should I move?
Dodge. New debuffs. Cone of Death.
Targeted somebody running late for the buff.
My blighted just went off, so no.
Oh, wait, your blight was there?
Yep,
My blight was back there, then I ran to the left. I ran out to the side because Cone would have hit me if I stayed where my blight dropped. Had it targeted anyone but me.
That's a bad combo. Get targeted with Blight and have Rage.
Yeah.
Yep, it happens.
I've got some pretty shitty combos already so far, like Rage and Blight. And then Blight and that.
I mean, nobody else has screwed us like
Not that it
I'm just
matters
saying.
too much right now until we get this phase down, but if the person with Rage gets one of the buffs, can they like scoot away from it so people can actually get it? Like,
That's what
we're actually.
I was just, yeah, I was moving forward.
I mean, it's not a big deal now because we need to get this phase clean anyway, but it will be for when we actually are making real kill attempts and not just trying to get mechanics down.
I mean,
It's re-importing it
how would-
because it
how would
finished
that work?
pull Veruca, so it didn't do any good.
The rage person, I mean, if it's a melee person with rage and they drop the buff to the right, if they move farther to the left to make space for people, they're going to get cleaved by the boss.
Yeah, there's not a lot of wiggle room there since that square is rather large. And if Death Cone is already out, it's usually not worth chasing because of how rapidly those cones are going out on Mythic.
Is back not an option?
Dropping it back? Maybe dropping it back.
Well, dropping it back or just running back real quick while we run in and get it and get out. I'm just saying if it makes a difference later on, like, you know, it's the difference between getting a 4-stack or not.
Let's get some more pulls in, and then we'll see about working that strat out, because so far, nothing I've seen looks safe in order to pull that off.
Yeah, because I took a stack of the Rage and I just died. Even with Pride Eyes on, it's just too much.
Yep.
So
On top of everything else.
getting that is not an option if he doesn't move. So I was just making sure there wasn't a way to finagle that or not.
I know another thing is, like, during transitions, we'll have that buff here, and, like, it won't move forward, so melee have to run out of it to DPS. So we have to make sure the person with the debuff's moving forward, so we can keep DPSing and share it.
Moving forward as in away from the cone.
Like, they'll, like, right after Tortured Rage, they'll just move to the right, and then the boss is, for whatever reason, gets out of position. And we've got the circle debuff that all of us are in. Like, it just doesn't move forward. If it's on a range, the range stays back and they don't move forward with it. Not Blight, but the other one. I think the Fear one.
Yeah, it's Fear.
So it's being shared by a lot less people at that point.
That's a lot of stuff on the screen, Veruca.
You won't get
The one that you're interested in is if you scroll down the Sargeras' sphere, and that's right, I'm just calling it Sargeras just to fuck with you, and Sargeras' rage. Those are the two icons you're mostly interested in. The Sargeras' gaze timer gives you a big ass countdown in the middle of your screen, so.
Anyone else have any other questions while we're waiting?
Good. I made the icons much larger.
On tanks.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Debuffs to the right.
I'm just gonna drop this back here.
Cone income. Dodge.
Is there a stack of rage right now?
One, yeah. Watch the soul blight. Cones. Cone incoming.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
That's gonna be a reset.
So far, I'm guessing when Cone's about to go out and you get talk about Blight, you need to go like far right in the back, right?
Correct.
I go to claim your prize.
So what happened there, Nem? It's too much to type to explain. Is the rings went out while you had Soul Blight, and I was there to escort you, and we lived through me dropping my Soul Blight, or your Soul Blight rather, and then we both ran through another puddle, which killed us.
Okay, because I've been dying like every time if my ring puts blight, and I'm not sure how to do that differently.
It's a lot of damage. The only thing that killed us there was we ran through a puddle that was already down. Otherwise, we would have lived. It hurt, but we would have lived because I was there to cover for you.
So I guess blight people need to be a little more careful about trying to stay in a straight line and not like a horizontal line, or not a horizontal line, a vertical line. Because if you're in a horizontal line, you're just gonna overlap other people, right?
It will depend on timing. Sometimes they're forced to because the cone is coming out before their soul blight can be dropped.
Oh, that's super awkward. Okay.
Yes, it is awkward. Most of it's going to have to be reactionary, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I had a defensive on us too. We still died.
Yep, I did too.
Yeah, you can't run through puddles at all.
We didn't really have a lot of other places to run because we have to run in it's pretty much a straight line to not get cone, which you can't even take like one tick of. So we just ran as fast as we could, and there happened to be a puddle there. I think if we would have taken the time to like go around it, the cone would have hit us for sure.
We probably would have been okay, but that was awkward.
Keep in mind, the further back you go, it's like one of the things that Reddy was talking about earlier is how a lot of guilds tank the boss closer to the edge, where maybe they're tanking the boss like here-ish instead. That also reduces the distance you have to travel to avoid the cone because the cone is smaller inherently.
Oh,
That's
true.
true.
We were in the way far back, so.
I pulled the
Right,
boss over here
but
this pull.
Yeah, you did.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it looked like it kind of went back closer towards the center as we went on. But yeah, it's one of those awkward things where like the further to the center of the boss is, the farther you have to run if you're in the back with your blight being dropped. So
I mean, it's not like the requirement is I have to run it all the way to the wall.
yeah,
Like,
no, I get that. That's what I'm
if the
saying. Like,
boss is here,
you should only run it as far as you
yeah,
have to run it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Is
a
the
lot of
point.
this is going to be awkward as we practice it because we're not used to these movements. A lot of it is very rapid fire compared to the heroic pacing. And we haven't done Argus in a while. So let's get some more pulls in and get some practice, and we can fine tune these movements. It's gotten better every pull. So far, the next step will be to get these Soul Blight's positionings under control, and then we can fine tune that cone to be more friendly, for lack of a better way of putting it. But that's going to take repetition. So on tanks.
Five, four, three, two, one. Four, three, two,
Gazes. Okay, the rage is instant. Cone income. Dodge.
Oh, it's a cute little baby coat.
Soul Blight's back. Blight's going out, rings. Dodge.
This Blight's really close to the group.
Yeah, I think there was one in melee.
Got a lot of space. Veruca. The biggest weak aura that I see a need for right now are for these Soul Blights, because they go in a staggered fashion.
Okay.
If we can find one that either calls it out or something that numbers them. Because I have an idea for that, but that's what would be needed.
So the one, I don't know if it was me or not. I'd have to test it again. But I ended up getting a rage that I had to run into the group immediately, and I had Soul Blight. So I tried to cloak to run my Soul Blight and drop it off in the actual cone that had already been laid down, since I had to get away from the group anyway. So I don't know. I popped it right on the edge, so I don't know if it cleared, like if it instantly dropped the Soul Blight, or if it was someone else.
If it's the same as bubble, bubbling it drops it immediately wherever you are.
Yeah, it may have done that then. I don't know.
That would be my guess.
So, timer for how long you have it. Who has it? What do you need? An auto marking thing?
Auto marking would be great if that's a thing. So what I want to do is, since the blight debuffs, there's 4 of them, and they all go out in a staggered fashion. I'd like to have like a certain marked person go here, and we'll like basically form a square. For like one person will drop it here, the next person would drop it here, the third person would drop it here, and the fourth person would drop it here. That way there's no question for where you're supposed to go to drop your Soul Blight, and it's not going to screw somebody over with awkward movements because their timer expired first. Because I got, the last 2 pulls ago, I got boxed in, surrounded by Soul Blight. Just because mine was the last to go out, and I got surrounded by the people who went first. What's the one you linked, Energy? Doesn't mark. Okay. Sort of, Rhea. What I'd like to do is have 2 in the back against the wall and then 2 in front of that. That way, with people with the short timers don't have as far to
Cancel
run
orb for
for the
every
cone.
debuff stack the tank has. So the tank gets scythed and supplies a third stack, you get 3 orbs spawning. These orbs all fixate a random player and move towards them. When any player touches them, they explode for 7 million damage in a 2.
But in the meantime, let's get some practice in. It is getting better. On tanks.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Be loosely spread here. Gazes are incoming. Stack. The mastery debuff needs to go farther to the right. Dodge. Soul Blights. First one goes to the wall up against the paw. Second one goes to the left, or to the right of it. In front of me, Rhea. Dodge cone. I'm already out.
I thought you wanted to make a box.
Depends on the timer, but yes.
I think I had the last one or second to last.
You had the last one, yeah. Dodge cone. Ooh, lighten the raid.
2, 1.
Yeah, Dead, you've been saving your AMS for debuffs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it works great against if you get clipped by that rage, so your AMS just drops it. Same thing with Blight. If you like just run in the back instead of waiting on a timer, just, you know, AMS and drops the Blight.
Yeah, I've been using it for Blight.
Huh?
Because it drops it.
Oh, what would you say?
I said, yeah, I was using it for Blight. I was going to tell you the same thing.
Yeah, it works
great
great.
for that.
But if you do get clipped by that rage, though, you definitely want to use it on that, because that thing ticks hard. If you ever get, you know, get clipped by even just by 1 second.
On tanks.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Spread. Perfect on debuff. Going incoming.
Can circle move a little bit closer to boss?
Yep. Soul Blight. Nope. So that fourth Soul Blight will have to move to the right and drop it. 4 Soul Blights. Oops.
The chances of getting double rage.
3, 2, 1.
That time I got sweeping scythe, so I was right on top of the group. Was the tank supposed to turn him more, or did we just have position?
Did we lose the tank, or did Cap pull aggro, or?
No, he just sweeped at an angle instead of straight back.
Okay.
But I mean, realistically, if you get the rage buff every time, you have the easiest job. It's just stand over there on the left and never get targeted by anything.
No, it's just I had double. Like as soon as it went off, like you know the debuff was gone, I ran back in towards the group. Then I got rage again, so I had to hurry one back out.
Okay, we did lose Kek. That's why the group got scythed. So whoever gets that 4th Soul Blight can't sit there and drop it where the cone's gonna go out. I tested it and it hit me in the face right at 0. But other than mine, the first Soul Blights look good.
So are we just going far right with it and hoping it doesn't target that person for cone?
The tone target is already picked at that point. So if we'll have 4 Soul Blights, the first one will go here. Second one will go here. Third one will go in front of those two somewhere. And then somewhere around this time, the cone target is picked, and whoever has the 4th Soul Blight can drop it over here, up against the wall. That's in an ideal situation. It's going to be hard to coordinate without a weak aura or markers of some sort, but that's the general plan. On tanks.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Four, 3, 2,
Rage incoming. Debuffs. A little farther. Cone incoming. Now. Hug this cone. Soul Blights. Off to the right, Scruff after it picks the target. Oh, Rage in group. Dodge.
I just bubbled mine off.
AoE. Blight in group.
This is going to be a Pride as fight for a while.
All progression bosses should be Pride as, unless you're an inherently tanky class.
Although don't rely on it, you still die quickly.
No, you just don't rely on it, but it's a thing that you should have. Especially like mages, hunters,
So him being like that close to the center compared to where he started, like that line makes it harder for the cones too. Like even if I hadn't died to the soul blight there, being in the back with where the timer lines up on that cone, there's not a way for somebody to be that far in the back, but there's also not a good way for me to avoid or for me to know the boss is being drugged that far away. Like I don't know, like there's this awkward transition where like the boss was here. Sorry, stealth. The boss was here in terms of like how close he was to the edge of the room when the soul blight went out. So I went, okay, I'll run to the back since I have a sprint, which made sense when the boss was here. But then the boss got drugged from there to here, and now my position is really terrible for being able to get away from the cone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we definitely have to keep it more consistent, you're right.
It's been fairly consistent so far. The tanks are just keeping it in line with that middle or that outer circle in the middle of the room.
All right, I got my battle tank gear on. I'm ready to roll.
On tanks.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And wait for it. Dodge. Soul Blight. Dodge cone.
We need to keep moving the boss, so I also kill the boss. Because or else people can't get around the cone rages.
Yep.
Yeah, like where that little edge is of the two death cones right there. Like look at how close that